Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you an outsider's point of view. Now, I, at the current point in time, do not play Chaos Demons or Chaos Knights. And assuming that future me has made a thumbnail that puts both of them on display, you know what this video is going to be leaning towards. Both of these factions are not doing great. Now, admittedly, we just got the points this past week, right? It was 1 week, or is it 2 weeks? Maybe 2 weeks, right? Sorry, I didn't really think that hard into it. But we don't have too much data on what's going on with these factions, but we know going into the latest MFM, they were not doing great, and looking at the MFM, it doesn't look like much will change. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm also here to hopefully push some people in that direction so that things do change. Now, both of these have had a lot of decreases, right? Chaos Knights, decreases across the board. Chaos Demons, for some odd reason, they said, fuck you, we're going to take your Ren Master on the way out. And admittedly, one of my champions of when I first saw the last Balanced Data Slate, I was like, man, Chaos Demons should be cooking. Hypercrypt and Grey Knights are just beating ass everywhere, and they can do the same uppy downy thing too. Man, this should be nice. Now, that didn't happen, and they've had decentish win rates where it's been up there, but they haven't won anything. So, I want to talk about what we seem to be missing, or I said they seem to be missing. I should say they seem to be missing in regards to this. And both fronts, Chaos Knights as well, where everybody's always done War Dog spam for this entire edition. Like, yeah, that's the best way to play Chaos Knights. And people keep saying that, but yet nobody keeps winning with it. So I don't really know why that is the line of thought. Like, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So I don't understand why people are so convinced that War Dog spam is the best one when it isn't doing it. So I'm here to talk about some things that might just be time to try. First off, I should say while I was looking over a list, of course, I was like, what's going on here? You know, you got to go back. I think the person that, well, I know it's going to be like, wow, you're just going to go to somebody that has a trophy next to their name, and that's going to be your winner. Yes and no. But I had this idea. Starting from everybody, there's been like 4 videos and streams and whatnot that I've come across since the points have dropped, who's kind of jokingly been like, but what if you take the Night Abominant? Wouldn't that be crazy? Like 5 fucking people, and it seems like everybody wants to tiptoe around this fucking model that looks insanely like dope, right? Like I think it looks cool. The rules can be better, but it seems like everybody wants to take it in chaos in general, but nobody wants to be the goofy one to take it first, and then when it doesn't work, everybody like, now why are you doing that? Right? Like I guess nobody wants to be laughed at. So that's where this video kind of stems from. But going through the list, I found that Blair McDonald uh, seems to be on what I think is the right trajectory for making both of these sides of chaos a little bit more consistent. You see here, allied units, Chaos Knights. While all of this is said and good, right? We're still taking some Chaos Knights. Okay, okay. And like going through this list, like I'm not going to click through all of them, but that doesn't seem to be the thing people are doing. Going back several months, when there was the dub, like the first place dub, still was taking it. I was like, man, that's awesome. Let's see what happened with Chaos Knights. And guess whose name is there again in Chaos Knights? Blair McDonald. Now, we've done what every kind of Chaos Knights list does, in which some Nurgles come along, but there's Plague Bears too. And let's see about this other one. Yeah, it seems like when in doubt, bring Nurgle as the ally. Rodigus, interesting, and Nurglings, right? Now, Going to this, right? First off, let's acknowledge that neither of these armies have much of an army rule, right? Like, I kind of meme about, like, well, yeah, fuck it, what is the demon's rule anyway? And they're not really, like, brushed up on it. Again, like, maybe I am missing something, but, like, mortal wounds or healing from battle shock test or deep striking isn't much of an ability. Like, deep striking within 6, not 3. This would be turbo. I think demonic incursion would be turbo if it was 3-inch deep strike. The same way that everybody is shitting their pants about the Tempestus Equilins. If you make this 3 inches, I think you're fine until the codex comes out. But hey, what do I know? So I was like, well, fuck that, yeah. And then it's been said several times, like, okay, what the fuck do Chaos Knights do? And I was like, surely they do something. Like, I know when I was getting into the hobby earlier this year or last year, whatever, I was like, man, let's see. They look cool. What do they do? And I was like, I could have sworn they did something. And then I remembered their army rule is like neurolictors. You're fucking walking neurolictors. And as somebody who is a Tyrannus player, neurolictors are okay, right? I think we can come to the conclusion they're okay. It's not the best thing to play around. Fuck, it's painful, but it's all right. So for the army rule, I also didn't know why they tacked on this weird like Tau, Kalyan, Montcad type bullshit on it. For the first, starting from the first round, an enemy unit within 12 inches of this model, each time that enemy unit takes a battle shock test or leadership test, subtract 1 from that test. That's a fucking waste of a rule, but alright, cool. Battle round 3 onwards, each time this model makes an attack, if the target is battle shocked, add 1 to the wound roll. Each time an attack targets this model, if the attacking model's unit is battle shocked, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Straight up Neurolector, okay? Uh, you could, I think if you want to really make them better, switch these around. That would probably start with a little bit of the power immediately. Turn 1 is the Neurolictor. Turn 3 is Death Leaper. Like I think that would be just a little bit better. So you just start feeling like you're doing shit earlier. That way I'm not waiting till turn 3 like I'm fucking Kalyan to hit better, even though I'm a giant fucking mech, and I would hope that I hit shit a little bit better than fucking wounding on 4s, right? Like, I would hope so. Especially if you're going to add the caveat that the shit has to be battle shocked. So, there's that one. And then also super heavy walker. Golly, that's staying in. Super heavy walker, for fuck's sakes. You can go through terrain, and if you roll on a d6, if you roll a 1, you become battle shocked. Who gives a shit? But that just needs to be the rule for Titanic across the board, if I'm being honest. Like, you would just save so many data sheets by just making that Titanic's rule overall, and arguably some monsters. Like, I don't really get it. But yeah, super heavy walker. That's also why. So going forward, before I forget, even though I've mapped this out and kept forgetting it myself, I think that if you were going to fix one of the two factions that we're talking about today, it would be easier to fix Chaos Knights than Demons, surprisingly. And a lot of that does come down to points. And I don't think they want to drop the points of all of this shit across the board, but they really should. They really should. So for the purpose of the rule activation, yeah, I mean, then again, it comes up to what you want. Do you want to hit shit harder and do some battle shock tests? Play with people's emotions on if they can use Armor of Contempt or not? Or do you want to deep strike better? Right? Like like that's just me. That's just me. Now, admittedly, the stratagems, whatever stratagems you prefer between the two, that's a whole nother can of worms. But if we're talking just straight up army rules, I think I'd rather, and maybe that's my bias as a Tyranid player, I'd rather take definitely from Neurolector over Deep Striking slightly better. Now, let's get into the big part of this. Be'lakor is probably the direction you want to start taking if it's Chaos Demons. I know everybody is happy that you don't need to take him in your list anymore, and people will tell you he doesn't hit enough for his points, and I agree. So that's why thing number one, demons are very fucking expensive, GW. Holy shit, you're taking down the Lion and Gilliman to like 285. Be'lakor over here is at 325, and he's not even the fucking Primarch. He's, yeah, the Supreme Commander, so I guess same level, right? But fucking hell. Goodness, help him out. Like, what's Call? I don't remember what Call is off the bat right now. I think he's like, is he 150 or something? Maybe not that much. Maybe too much. Either way, uh, for a guy that is just like, I'm better than you, his price needs to come down. And then with Be'lakor, I say you need to go in the direction of Be'lakor because, well, this expands your Shadow of Chaos. And if we're going to play around with making demons better, that's what you need to be doing for what the rest of the game plan I'm going to propose to you is. First off, I guess not first off in this bunch of tangent that I've been going on, but yeah, the shadow form abilities are cool, and the weapons, from what everybody can tell me, because again, I don't play Chaos at this point in time, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, and I can understand that. If you're telling me that for 325 points, I'm getting 12 attacks if I take a hazardous test at range for 18 inches, and that my heavy profile is 6 attacks lethal hits, yeah, fine, but I'm only T10 with a 4-up save both ways, 4-up invulnerable save. So Be'lakor either needs to make that a 2-up save, like 2-up, 4-up, and points decrease, but points needs to come down. But why is making the army Shadow of Chaos a little bit better? So you don't have to worry about taking the other big ones to expand that Shadow of Chaos. It was the main thing as to why people went, finally, I don't need to fucking take Be'lakor. But the other issue with both of these parties is that, well, with demons, yeah, you can take a couple of big things, but your big things don't feel big. Uh, they're big. The Great Unclean One is like a fuck, I don't want to have to fight that or try to get rid of it, so I'll ignore it. But for the other ones, they don't seem to stack up to their points backslash damage cost from what I've observed. Okay? So you need more firepower. And then for the knights, well, it's the low model count. You can have, sure, a bunch of battle line so that they can go run around, do things. But you're still, if somebody can get rid of T10 quite handedly, guess what you lose to? You already have about 12, 11 models. If they're all T10 and somebody doesn't have a problem with that, if you're just getting fucking Bright Lands, Dark Lands, Tyran effects, uh, heavy land, Hecaton Land Fortress, whatever the fuck it may be, you're fucked. So you need to break some things up. And that's why I think Blair is on the right track. I think that Chaos Demons needs to be taking War Dogs, or we're going to talk about some big knights that you take for additional firepower. And Chaos Knights probably needs to take some of the smaller demons. A lot more of them, not just Nurglings, so I can get some points here and there. I mean, kind of actual units, like in the Plague Bearer direction, like enough where you get a couple of squadrons of those motherfuckers. So that's where we're going with this. Be'lakor talked about Skull Cannon. This is one that I'd go, hey, have you thought about taking a Skull Cannon in your Chaos Knight army? Ally it in so you get some more battle shock tests so you can, first off, subtract 1 from those tests. Yeah, I was going to see if that has a -1. I forgot to check beforehand. But just turn your army online, right? Make it so that when you finally deep strike these motherfuckers, probably turn 2 or turn 3 or whatever, and for the cost, right? Let's make sure that that's not the one. Da 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 da. Skull cannon. Yep. I mean, it's not much of a check, but just triple checking. 95 points. You take some bloodletters, then you take a skull cannon. That's 295 points. All right. Make sure that you can. I'm sorry, 195 points. Um, do that 2 times over. That's why I was said two by accident. But do that 2 times over, and now you have a couple of small bodies to score you some points because they deep strike, because that's what fucking demons do. And also, when you get to those turn threes, whatever, you're screamer killering shit. Make it so that some tests happen. Add one to those wound rolls for shit that isn't fighting a stalker, a war dog stalker. Let's hope I got that one right. And things like that. Also, look at the big knights and put the enhancements on. Okay, like I'm not saying that still waiting to turn 3 is the best thing, but I think I would take the 30 points for turning that on sooner, especially if I'm on the Knight Abominant. Panoply of the Cursed Knight, 40 points, -1 AP. That's ramshackled. Okay, ramshackled on a T12, 20 something wound body with an invulnerable save? Fuck yeah, I'll take that every day of the week. For the cost of 40 points, I understand everything's squeezing, but now points went down. You have room for those enhancements, because let's be serious, it's not like you had enough room to fit in another war dog. So take the enhancements down. Those also probably need to go down. So that's another thing that GW, yeah, there's some things that they could be doing over here in Chaos, but let's be real with some of these points now. So that's the Skull Cannon. And I alluded to it earlier, Knight Abominant. This is the one that everybody's like, wouldn't it be crazy if we finally took that awesome model? And I know it's kind of stupid of me to say, uh, given how many models I bitch about in Tyrannage, but this also went down to 365 points. 365 points for T12, 3 up save, 5 up invulnerable save versus ranged attacks, 22 wounds. That has a devastating wounds weapon at 30 inches, 9 attacks, strength 12, damage 3, as well as a heavy stubber with rapid fire 3, 36 inches, 3 goes up to 6, just to make it so that you don't have to be completely hopeless. And then decent melee. I get it. The rules on it, the abilities on it are the best. But I'm jealous. I'm jealous. If I could ally this in, or if I had a Tyrannid monster that did this with this profile, right, while still giving me the Neurolector bullshit, I'd be very tempted to take it, given what Tyrannids do. And you go, well, yeah, Tyrannids love Battle Shock. But let me remind you, my army rule doesn't give me what the Neurolictor gives me. That's why I have to take the Neurolictor. My army rule just means that I can make everybody take a Battle Shock test once per game. This turns on all the other buffing pieces on top of that. So I think that's cool. You go, but you just said the Screamer Killer. The Screamer Killer just kind of like does not exist, right? Because it does not have the same profile here. That's what I mean. So talking more so profile on top of ability versus ability and or profile. So that's what I mean by that. And we go with Warp Storms. At the end of your movement phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 9 inches of this model. On a 3 up, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. Again, this sounds great to me. Now it's Titanic, towering, right? It's a walker and do all the shebangery, right? So again, this is why I'm like, you probably want to start by working in Chaos Knight so you can have super heavy walker, so you can just move through shit. But if not, we've seen monsters that can't fly, like Scarbrand, have to deal with terrain and Chaos Demons. So Hey, I think it's fine. So yeah, that's Skull Cannon and that's Knight Abominant. I understand we all kind of want to take it. It does look pretty fucking sick. T12 and 20 something fucking wounds with the 3-up save? Shit, that's nice. Then I want to talk about the next comparison to be made for Demons. Shalaxi Hellbane just went down from 450 to whoop whoop 425. Oh, 25 points off. Woo. Yeah, that's fucked. But the other thing that I was talking about hitting harder in Chaos Demons is that I noticed, yeah, your big shit is big, but they don't get to hit big shit except for Shalaxi, really. Like, yeah, the Bloodthirster can get there, kinda, but Shalaxi is going to make sure it happens. Uh, T10, 4 up invulnerable save, because what the fuck is that save? And 20 wounds. Again, Deep Strike, feel no pain of a 5 up. Each time this model declares a charge that targets a monster vehicle or character, you can reroll the charge. Each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a monster vehicle or character unit, you can reroll the hit roll, the wound roll, and the damage roll. Okay? At the start of the fight phase, select one enemy unit with engagement range of this model. Until the end of phase, subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic of melee weapons equipped by that unit. And then, of course, Shadow of Chaos for Slanesh Demons. 5 would feel no pain, right? Like, for 425, yeah, people are probably going to bring her slightly more often. And I still think that GW needs to take this price point down because Emperor's Children are coming, and I would like to ally in fucking Shalaxi with this 500 cap, right? So again, talking to demons cost too much for no reason. Uh, if you ask me, for what you get. So here's your one that can, in melee, take out the big shit, so you don't have to worry about your big shit getting punched by big shit in melee. So what could be the Chaos Knight equivalent of that? The Knight Desecrator, who, let's just make sure, right? 410 points, so a little less than Shalaxi. This is your way to kill shit at range that needs to be killed at range, okay? With Obsessive Ruthlessness, each time this model makes a ranged attack against a monster or vehicle, that attack has the devastating wounds ability. We're looking at a Desecrator Laser Destructor. Oh yeah, all that edge. Cut myself on it. 72-inch range. My Tyrannofex is 48, okay? 3 shots hitting on 2s, strength 18, AP minus 4, D6 plus 3. I get it. I get it. I get it. You go, I could just bring 3 more dogs instead of taking a big knight. Even though a big knight has auras for the war dogs. So again, I think we just need to let go of the war dog spam and at least bring some of them, because when I was making a list with the new points, spoiler, you could bring a Knight Desecrator and a Knight Rampager, and then it was like 3 Brigands, 3 Stalkers, and 2 Carnivores, if I remember correctly, for 2,000 points. And the Desecrator gives War Dogs reroll hit rolls of 1 for ranged attacks, while the Rampager gives War Dogs reroll hit rolls of 1 for melee attacks, if I remember correctly. So, I think it's time. I think it's time to let go of some of the War Dogs and make sure you can actually punch shit while you're spending all these points. So, the Knight Desecrator, and then also, everything gets death wounds. So, even if you don't, like, if you just need to get that extra little damage in there, the Heavy Stubber, that's Rapid Fire 3, so 6 more shots, still will be death wounds. If you can do it, right? 18 inches, fuck it. And then if you do come down the melee, you can punch these motherfuckers again with about the same profile of melee you were picking with Shalaxi. So you have kill them at range, kill them up close. You can only take one of both of these for your whatever list you want to make. If you want to make it Chaos Demons, you can only take one Knight Desecrator and one Shalaxi because she's an epic hero. And then in Chaos, well, I guess in Chaos Knights, you can take 2 Desecrators and Shalaxi. I don't think you want to do that because that's like fucking what 1,400 points right there or something like that. Um, yeah, I don't think you want to do that, but it's possible. Well, actually, maybe you do want to do that, and then have a bunch of little war dogs running around. But hey, actually, I just take that back because, like I said, the whole problem with Shalaxi's point cost is that you can't ally her in because it's over 400 points, and Demonettes are 100. So never mind on that one. But Night Desecrator, Shalaxi. This is how you start with the demon list that I'm seeing. They're like, yeah, we're big, but we're not too bad, right? Just some crazy little guys that you're having a tough time punching through. Then we go to the Bloodthirster, who, like I said, there's the possibility of trying to get to punching some shit more consistently. Maybe you want to do a Bloodthirster instead of Shalaxi. If you take a Blood Fail, you get one shot that can hit 16. Death Wound, sure, AP -3. But you're probably taking the melee weapons that are hitting up there, right? So, again, it depends on which way you want to take it. I could see if you want to take some bloodthirsters. I'm sorry, some bloodletters and bloodthirsters and chaos knights, or if you make a corn army. This is speaks to another point of what I've been kind of hearing a lot lately. When it comes to moving into this new meta, where it's like, yeah, world eaters, hopefully they can still survive. Angron got hit or whatever, but now you're just going to have to not just unga bunga melee. I'm sorry if that's verbatim off of somebody's video I was just watching, but that is quite a thing. And my friend does play World Eater, so sorry. Um, but there's that. You're going to have to start bringing some shooting, and I think again, while you now have a bloodthirster to do things, despicable things in melee combat, I think if you're focusing on Corn, maybe over taking Shalaxi, I think, again, Night Desecrator that way. That's T12, T11, which is better than 10, right? Deep Strike, you give up the feel no pain, but you get a 4 up, and then at least with benefit of cover, you can take that to a 3 versus whatever the fuck they did to Shalaxi over here. So, there's that one. Then going over to another department, I guess. Rampager. Also, if you still need the melee backup for the Chaos Knights, if you wanted to have melee in that regard, you have it with the Rampager instead of worrying about your dogs hitting in that. You can also tie in the Rampager so that each time this model makes a charge move until the end of the turn, its melee weapons have sustained hits 1. In addition, once per battle, this model is eligible to charge in a turn in which it advanced. And, like I said, the War Dogs reroll hit rolls of 1. So if you want to go with like corn focused, like punch some shit in the mouth, you can Rampager tie that up while they're trying to figure out how to take down a Rampager that's T12, 22 wounds. You take the rest of your shit, your bloodletters, your blood crushers, one of your bloodthirsters, while they're moving up the board, go ahead, let the Rampager loose. And maybe World Eaters, maybe this is your solution too. Maybe Angron and a Rampager just fuck shit up while you move all your 8 bound and shit up the board. I don't think you really need to because you have rules to get up the board, but, just saying. Rampager is here. Lord of Change. This is the one that I guess kind of disappointed me because I'm like, man, I can kind of see why people give up on the Lord of Change. Like the Everstave does make it better, in which, you put this on, add 1 to the strength characteristics of the bear's ranged weapons, 2 because the Shadow of Chaos, right? So add 2 and 6-inch range to some of these weapons, take that up to strength 11, and then add 1 again. So strength 12. Couple of shots for kind of shit damage. Right? Like, why? Why do I necessarily want to do that? But okay. I mean, it's there. and then have absolutely no melee. T10, 4 up invuln, because again, what the fuck is that save? And 18 wounds for 260. Or, instead of doing that, for this is goes back to why I'm talking about bringing Bellicor instead. And I know you probably want to do blue, like do some Zinch units. You know, bring some pink horrors out that are tough to get rid of. Changeling and whoever else, right? Maybe that's the direction you want to take it. But instead of having to bring a Lord of Change, you take Bellicor, so he benefits your entire army. And instead of the Lord of Change, take some War Dog Brigands. Each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible unit, improve the AP characteristic of that attack by 1. So, yeah, the strength is much less, but your Demon Breath Spear gets you to that 12. It's AP minus 4, Melta D6. Melta 4, by the way, compared to whatever the fuck this is, right? D3 and Hazardous, right? So you have that, 2 attacks of that, versus, yeah, 9. You could get somewhere with it eventually, right? But, like, just get up there, shoot them. Bring some Brigands, and they still have decent profile to attack other shit, right? Um, there's that, and improve the AP by 1. So that goes up to 2, 1, 1 if it's the closest eligible target. That was just, again, and T10, 5 up versus ranged attacks versus the 4 up all the time, I guess, sure. But a 3 up save versus a 6, so you're always taking 4 for 18 wounds. You could be taking a 3 for 12 wounds, right? At the same toughness of 10. Move of 12, yeah, this one can fly though, and deep strike, so that's different. But for cheaper, War Dog Brigands. Then we go over to the Great Unclean One, who I'm not saying that you ever take out of the list for Chaos Demons, because we know that giving that motherfucker a 4 up Feel No Pain makes him pretty fucking annoying. But I did want to talk about, again, a combo of shorts. While we do have the Great Unclean One that you just go, well, it can't punch anything because, again, for 250 points, how much is 260 points, right? That didn't go down. Yeah, they would be out of their minds if they brought the Great Unclean One down. Yeah, for 260 points, you're only clearing infantry, really, right? But they can't touch you, okay? They give up, right? T12, 4 up invulnerable save, 20 wounds, 4 up feel no pain. Let's talk about the next part. At the end of your movement phase, you can select one enemy unit within a foot of this model. Until the start of your next movement phase, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristics of models in that unit. So yeah, that's how you can start to do a little bit of damage with the Great Unclean One. But if you take a T10 down to T9, you're still wounding on 5s over here, okay? But this isn't Rodigus, okay? This doesn't only apply, let's pull up Rodigus real quick, to Nurgle units. That just subtracts the toughness characteristics of models in that unit, and then meanwhile, Nurgle over here, I'm sorry, Nurgle, Rodigus over here, uh, at the start of fight phase, until the end of the phase, each time an attack made by Nurgle Demon is allocated to a model in that unit that you targeted within 18 inches and visible to this model, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that attack. So, you know, you're boosting there. But also, Rodigus can have the move and OC characteristic of models within 6 inches of this model. So, if you're not taking Rodigus, and you're taking a Great Unclean One, Great Unclean One, -1 toughness, and War Dog Stalker. Each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit, if there are no other units from your opponent's army within 6 inches of that target, add 1 to the wound roll. So, Strength 6, let's just ignore that you have, you know, the means to hit even tougher things, but add 1 to the wound roll if they're not touching each other, right? And -1 from the toughness already at the end of the movement phase, so you can shoot after your movement phase with some War Dog Stalkers that are T10, 3 up save, 5 up against range, 12 wounds. If they were just there to clear some like Deathwing Knights, something that you don't necessarily want to put everything into just to get rid of, you take their toughness down. And actually, let's double check what Deathwing Knights, because that's been my punching bag of identifying how to get rid of it. Right? Deathwing Knights. Where are you at, you motherfuckers? Deathwing Knights, take them from a T5 to T4. So you're already wounding these things with these things from a 4 to a 3. And then if they're close and not away, not next to something, take that to a 2 because that's a wound roll. So now you have Blast just chunking through, or Rapid Fire 3, right, on top of your Avenger, Chain Cannon, or whatever it is, and some Demon Spear. So now you have War Dog Stalkers getting rid of Deathwing Knights in combination with Great Unclean One, who doesn't necessarily need to attack them on top of that, maybe do the cleanup job after you've sent your War Dog Stalkers to it. So again, which way do you want to put that one? It's up to you. Maybe this is one that's viable of you like, all right, I'll take 40. Can you take how many Nargleens? So 40, 80. Yeah, no, you don't have enough, right? You don't have enough points for that. So I don't know, maybe you dump a Great Unclean One into your Chaos Knights list and go about it there so that everything is soft. And then even on top of that, we work with the battle round 3 onward. If they're battle shock +1 to the wound roll and you're taking out toughness by 1, your whole army gets a little bit better in that way. It's not necessarily that you always need to do damage, but maybe if we're going to be talking about, well, I'm doing War Dog spam, so I'm not bringing the big ones because they cost too much. You take the War Dog spam, battle round 3 onwards, and you have the Great Unclean One. Again, it won't have the 4 up feel no pain, but it will have the 6 up feel no pain. Excuse me. It will have the 6 up feel no pain for much less than a big knight. Maybe you get to fit in another War Dog for this cost for the same T12, 4 up invuln, 20 something wounds. So, and again, if you're just clearing chaff, right? You have a flamer to get rid of chaff. Maybe you go with the plague flail iteration to do that. Maybe you take the Bale for reverberating summons because you allied in plague bearers because you're like, I need more models. That's the way you could go about it for Chaos Knights. But again, this is all from somebody that doesn't play either faction. I just think, well, I was looking at them like something's wrong here. They seem to have all the tools to do it that the winning factions can do. Like, you have Mutalisk Vortex Beast, Magnus, triple Castigator, Immolator type shit. Like, it seems like they should be more viable, and they have the movement tricks of Hypercrypt or Vanguard Onslaught, or Grey Knights. It just seems like there should be a little bit more for there. So, to see that only really Blair McDonald, I'm just saying, might be a genius. Capitalizing on really taking War Dogs and Chaos Demons. And, I mean, yeah, we're taking Demons and Chaos Knights, but it's usually just the Nurglings, whereas, like, I don't get why we're doing the Nurglings so tough. The entire, like, all Chaos Demons, if I'm correct, have Deep Strike. I get it, they're cheap for 40 points and can just be in a corner a little bit easier, but I don't know, maybe switch it up. There's no wrong in exploring a little bit, and that's all I'm here to do, is to maybe make it so that you think a little bit more about what you put together. So again, I think it'd be easier if you were taking a Chaos Knight list to get some allies of demons in there, um, and going even further into those. Let's talk about the battle line. You have Bloodletters that for 100, let's just double check. Yeah, 120 points. Take the Bloodletters just so they can poke something, and you don't even need to attach them for them to just reroll ones of wounds if they're in melee. You don't need to worry about the dev wounds per se. And then if it's below half strength, you can just reroll the entire wound roll, like twin linked on a couple of attacks, right? That's pretty good for battle line. You have the what I want to know is why I haven't seen just a carpet of pink horrors. Like probably nobody wants to deal with that bullshit, both sides. Like nobody wants to move that many models. But for 140 points, have you tried to remove pink horrors? Yeah, they're T3. They have a 4-up invulnerable save, but then they split into blue, which splits into pink. So, probably put some pink horrors in your list. Maybe then add a changeling. And then, this is the other thing about going to Chaos Knights. We're talking more shenanigans with Battle Shock. Do pink horrors, and if you just need, again, you're taking Nurglings to make your wildest dreams come true. But instead of Nurglings, how about you take pink horrors and the Changeling? Who, each time an enemy unit wishes to select this model as the target of an attack, that unit must first take a Battle Shock test. And, well, it might be -1 if they're next to a knight. If that test is failed, in addition to being Battle Shock, that enemy unit cannot target this model this phase. Put the Changeling into your list. Maybe it's 90 points. Pink horrors, hard to get rid of. Kind of do the same thing that you wanted out the Nurglings. And then at the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 inches of and visible to this model. Roll 1d6 on a 2 through 5 until the end of that phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. On a 6, that enemy unit is not eligible to shoot this phase. Yeah, Deep Strike Lone Operative with Stealth. That's the Changeling, everybody. We know how annoying the Changeling could be. So, that's the Zinch route of it. Take some Flamers. Maybe if you want to go the Zinch route, and again, just to boost what you have for the Chaos Knights already, you're taking. Is it Burning Chariot? Yes, Burning Chariot, because I just found out, well, that's going to be a separate video, so I'm not going to spoil that. But Burning Chariot, you get an Immolator that can Deep Strike. Hello? Right? You remove the benefit of cover that has your Flamer, so you were worried about the bodies in this shit. Burning Chariot right there for your Chaos Knights. I'm just saying. You need the battle line too, so again, that's the great thing about Zinch's way. Maybe you don't want to go pink. You want to go blue, which is a little bit cheaper. Do pretty much the same damn thing. But I just say for 15 points more, especially after these these points reductions, maybe that's the option. Maybe you feel that you need more speed as well as melee. You go with Demonettes, which can reroll ones and have dev wounds. Alright. And if it's on an objective marker, reroll the entire hit roll. Sounds fucking good. Okay? So, and again, this is battle line. For 400, you could take 40 fucking Demonettes. Actually, for 500, you can take 50 Demonettes. Call it a day in your War Dog thing. Right? That's the cost of one night and one big night and a small night together, right? So, if you're worried about bodies, you have access to bodies. If you're worried about punching power, you have access to punching power. It is one night or 3 War Dogs, but so far it looks like the options are kind of there in front of you. That's not to say that GW is without fault here, because again, these prices are still fucking ridiculous. Like, for the price of a War Dog Carnivore is a squad of 10 pink horrors, right? Like, that's kind of absurd. 140 for 10 battle line. That is toughness 3. Admittedly, tougher than the toughness 3 would allude to, but for a War Dog, the War Dogs can all come down another 10, 15 points, maybe. Maybe 5 to 10. Let's start there. But yeah. So, I hope this helps if you're playing Chaos. I would love to hear back if it actually does what I presume it would do. Because again, I don't play Chaos. This is just looking from the outside in and thinking, man, you have some good things over there. I'd love to see it together. So, yeah, I'm shipping you. That's what. I'm shipping chaos. So, hey, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.